hello to the pessimistic, optimistic, and everyone in between. My name is Connor Philippi, and welcome back to the Minnesotan Sports Podcast. It's a 38-24 loss to the Eagles tonight on Thursday Night Football, and it's just a mixed bag of emotions. Between that spectrum of pessimistic, optimistic, I think I'm everywhere in between right now, because at halftime, I was so frustrated, and it was a very frustrating first half. First of all, more injuries on the offensive line. That's going to be rough for the next few weeks, and hopefully Darisaw, it just feels like he's had some lingering injuries throughout his career so far. But then just those injuries made things even more difficult for Kirk, and credit to Kirk for battling back in this game, but just some weird, frustrating turnovers, just like the first game. We could be 2-0 right now without some of those turnovers. And that's why there's a pessimistic option of that, or there's also an optimistic one. Because in this game, the Vikings had an opportunity to go into halftime up 14-10 over the Eagles, and Justin Jefferson doesn't normally make those fumbles. So, a lot of those turnover issues, I feel like we have an opportunity to get right again. Because that didn't happen a whole lot for us last year. There was obviously some Kirk interceptions, but those were more because he's been more and more aggressive with his approach. But those weird fumbles didn't happen last year. I don't think they're going to continue this year, and that's where the optimism comes in. Because in the second half, the Vikings showed some serious resolve. Last year against the Eagles, we gave up completely. After the half was over, we ended up losing 24-7 because the offense just never got going. It was a complete failure, and it looked like it was going to be the same thing for us. Going down by 20 in the third quarter, it looked like it was just going to be over, but we showed some serious resolve against a really good Eagles team that had some missing pieces on defense, but considering how bad our O-line was all game long, that offense, I was honestly impressed with it in the second half. We ended up only losing by 6. We kept on coming back in this game. Addison with another big play. He seems to be the guy that's going to end up being the big play home run potential guy. Whereas Justin Jefferson, all the people that were critical of him last year, week 2 against Darius Slay, he proved himself in this game. Obviously less secondary help for the Eagles in this game, but Jefferson proved he's a top wide receiver once again. This offense, honestly, I'm feeling pretty good about going into the next few weeks. And then the defense, the only thing was stopping the run, but for the most part, a better defense than we've seen last year for sure. It was just that run defense needs some work, and the Eagles' offensive line, of course, is just really good as well, so we got to credit it to them as well. All in all, it's hard to think a certain way about this game. Frustrating way that we could have easily completely swung the momentum around, because if we had been able to do that and swing the momentum, maybe the Eagles would have been forced to pass more in the second half. They would have kept, getting off their game, but because they were ahead at that point in the second half, they were able to continue to break down the run. Just their running game ended up taking off after that. So I feel like the momentum of the game really could have kept going in our favor, and we could have won, so it's frustrating that way. But also, did you expect the Vikings to end up losing this game by less than a touchdown? I sure didn't. And honestly, it makes me feel pretty good about the Vikings going forward, especially considering even though the Eagles didn't have their best game, they are still a very good football team, and it's a primetime game. Kirk, guess what? He did good in a primetime game, and it was still with an incredibly bad offensive line. So I feel like he kind of made some of those narratives go away. All in all, some negatives, some positives, and the Vikings, honestly, I feel like are in better shape in my mind than they were going into this game. That being said, they're still 0-2 after a rough loss to the Bucs in week 1, and they have a tough stretch ahead. They now play the Chargers at home, a team that I'm really high on still this year. Then they play the Panthers, a game that hopefully we should be able to win, and then they host the Chiefs. So we could end up being one of the better 1-4 teams in recent memory if we end up losing 2 of the next 3 because of such a tough opening schedule. And then we'll see if we can build back from that in the middle stretch of the season where the games get a little bit easier. But we'll see what happens. Plenty more to break down as the weeks go on. Chargers now, week 3 at noon on Sunday once again. We have a nice long rest, hopefully for some of these offensive linemen to get back. that injury to Udo did not look good. He was carted off. So hopefully Darisaw is good to go. And then the middle interior offensive line honestly looked a little bit better in this game. Just run blocking was horrible. That's the one thing I didn't mention. Madison was not good, but the run blocking was even worse. So another negative. But all in all, Vikings lose by 6, which is better than I expected. And let me know what you think in the comments about this game. It's kind of hard to think a certain way about it. But anyway, thanks so much for watching this one. New video coming on Monday about breaking down this entire week 2. And I'll see you on the flip side.